Hi everyone. So this week I thought I'd do something targeted more at beginners and developing a technique as you're learning the pentatonic scale. And so this kind of follows on from my previous video where I talked about the pentatonic scale and how to apply it against chords and what sounded good and how to develop that. This is focused much more on the technique side of it. So I'll give you two basic patterns that you can work on that will really start to allow you to move around the pentatonic scale and make some really quite fun music with it. And I guess the other thing is, even though I'm talking about this as though it's a beginner's lesson, this is very applicable to making real music. You actually hear this all over the place. You'll hear I was just thinking earlier, for example, if you listen to Mr. Crowley by Ozzie Osborne, Randy Rhodes is using this kind of shape all over the place through that solo. Or, for example, Chinatown, Thin Lizzy, there's a big sort of extended run right in the intro, which is just this pattern. Good Times, Bad Times, Led Zeppelin, I hear the ascending and the descending version of this. And it'll fit over shuffle patterns, it's used in country, it's used in jazz, it's used all over the place. So it's really worth getting it under your fingers, because you will be able to apply this to any kind of triplet, any kind of shuffle pattern that you encounter. So let me quickly demonstrate it. I'll do a few runs using it and then I'll break it right down, because you can break it down into sort of two very basic 6-note scale fragments. And if you can get those under your fingers, you'll be able to start moving them all over the place and creating these kinds of runs. So let me demonstrate. So that's the kind of sound that I'm looking to create. It's that whole sort of triplet shuffle. Okay, let's start by breaking it down. So as I say, there are two 6-note scale fragments that form the basis of this kind of movement. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to work in the key of A minor, so it's the A minor pentatonic on the 5th fret. So I'm expecting that you at least know that shape. You know where to put your fingers in order to play the A minor pentatonic. The shape itself, the 6-note scale fragment, works between two strings. So you just pick any two strings on that pentatonic shape and apply this scale fragment to it. And that's pretty much how it works. So to start with, I'll use the E string and the B string. So on those two strings there are 4 notes, which are... And the actual 6-note pattern that I'm playing is pulling off from the 8th fret to the 5th fret on the E string, then playing the 8th fret on the B string, so the first 3 notes of that, pull, and then the 5th fret on the E string to the 8th fret on the B string to the 5th fret on the B string. So the second 3 notes of that. And the way I'm playing it is I'm doing a pull off from that 8th fret to the 5th fret on the B string. You can choose to perform the pull-offs or pick every note. You decide how you want to play this. So just to run through those 6 notes again, that's 8th fret, 5th fret on the E string, 8th fret on the B string, 5th fret on the E string, 8th fret on the B string, 5th fret on the B string. And that's it. Once you've got that on your fingers, try the next 2 strings. So we're going between the B string and the G string. So those are my 4 notes, and again I'm pulling off from the 8th fret of the B string to the 5th fret, and then it's the 7th fret on the G string, then the 5th fret on the B string, 7th fret on the G string, and pull off to the 5th fret. So to play that through, once you've got that under your fingers, try the next 2 strings. So we're going between the 7th fret and the 5th fret on the G string, and the 7th fret and the 5th fret on the D string. Just playing that through. So as you can see, it's exactly the same pattern, but just between those 2 strings. Move across to the D and the A strings. Just the same pattern again, and then finally you've got the A and the E strings, so it's the 7th fret, 5th fret, and then the 8th fret on the E string. So you can see I'm just playing exactly the same pattern across the pairs of strings, just moving across the pentatonic pattern. And joining that up and closing the gaps sounds like this. And that's it. So that gives me a mechanism for descending in 3 notes per section all the way across the pentatonic pattern. And if we turn that around, we can go the other way. So let's create the 6-note scale fragment that will take us the other direction. So starting on the low E, 5th fret of the low E, we hammer on to the 8th fret. Play the A string on the 5th fret. So that's my first 3 notes. And my second 3 notes are starting with the 5th fret on the E string, 8th fret on the 5th fret on the A string, and 7th fret. So I'm hammering on to the 7th fret. So playing that 6-note pattern I'm doing. Let's try it with the next 2 strings. Then moving on to the next 2 strings. And then the next 2 strings. And then finally the last 2 strings. So playing that all the way through sounds like this. So that's it. Just using those 2 6-note scale fragments and moving them around the neck and swapping them around, you can start to do some really quite imaginative things and build that into your guitar solo technique. So let me run through that very quickly. And those 2 scale fragments formed pretty much 90% of what I just played then. I think the only thing I did differently is I Played a couple of 3-note passages like that, so I was just pulling off from the 7th to 5th and 7th fret on the G and the D string. That's it. Hopefully that was fun for you. You can have great fun with this. As I say, it works really well if you've got a friend you're jamming away with this kind of shuffle rhythm. Great fun.